Today, I feel really called to address those times in our lives when things just don't go as planned. Welcome to the Empowered Expat Woman Show, the place to celebrate your courage, inspire you to dream and play bigger, and support you in creating a truly fulfilled life across borders. I'm your host, Camila Quintana, and I believe your future is too important to get lost in translation. So, are you ready to make the most of your life abroad? Then let's get started. Today, I feel really called to address those times in our lives when things just don't go as planned. You know those times, and I do too. And as a matter of fact, I've just personally gone through such a phase where, in my case, right, it was because this uncertainty about our future and the difficulty and incredible complexity to plan ahead for an expat family of five just really got to me. I call that being in the expat limbo. And I know that so many of you are so familiar with this situation. And so, yeah, due to that, those circumstances, right, this expat limbo really got to me. And it pulled me into what can feel like a tornado, just throwing you around in circles, metaphorically speaking, of course, and just, making your thoughts swirl and everything. And it's made it hard for me to focus on my business, for instance, the way I usually do, which again led to a dip in my motivation and my drive and my clarity about some big decisions that I need to make. And it just, it seems like when something's going on, a lot of things are going on. And I think it's not a coincidence. So for me, it's been a bit of an off month or two. And I mean, of course, I continue doing the important things, also behind the scenes, but I really needed time to sit with my feelings, with my concerns, with my worries, with the options, and just allow myself to do that. And this sort of weird off state is not just something that I've been experiencing myself. I've also heard this from clients and friends over and over. So I don't know if I'm just more aware of that at this point because I can so personally relate, or is it something that's going on in general? Is it in the stars? Is it in the air? I don't know. But chances are that you, yes, you listening and watching, have experienced obstacles, setbacks, and disappointments too. And even recently, just like other people that I've spoken to. Um, you know, for instance, there was someone who wanted to move back home and planned everything, and then it didn't work out. And now she feels really stuck and hopeless. There was someone whose kid didn't get into the international school and their next destination, and now they're at a real crossroads because there aren't many alternatives. There was someone else whose business didn't take off the way she had hoped, and she had invested a large sum of money into it and put all her cards on this, and it's not looking good. So that's really worrying too. I also spoke with someone whose expat marriage is on the rocks and they're facing geographic separation as a family on top of all the other hassles. So all these cases, right, they're really present in my mind. And there's really nothing or only few things that we can do to experience those rough times. They're a part of life, and quite possibly we wouldn't be able to experience what joy and bliss and happiness is if it weren't also for painfully knowing the opposite. So, maybe first off, if you can relate to this, if there's something going on in your life right now that's hurting you and worrying you and making you feel bad, I hear you. In those moments, I know we tend to feel so alone, but everyone goes through them in some form or another. So, even if they don't talk about it, or maybe they can't admit to what's going on, which doesn't make the situation better, but others are going through these low moments as well, just as you do. So, let's go there, right? Let's talk about those rough times and start by one thing that I notice again in myself and in others equally, that it can be really hard to admit when things aren't going well and when we're not happy and satisfied with our situation as a result. So if you, for instance, think of an issue that you face in your life, let me know if this rings a bell. Do you tend to project it onto other things or people? Like, oh, I'm just worried for my kids. If it weren't for my partner's situation, I would be fine. If it weren't for this and for that, I would be fine. It's just because of those other things, right? I hear that a lot, and I do it too. And I think among women who are so used to function in their day to day lives, in their homes, at their work, in their relationship, in their infinite tasks and responsibilities, this happens a lot, especially in expat women, because we are still kind of the backbone of expat families. And it can be so hard to just admit that I am not fine. I'm struggling. I'm the one worrying about my kids and my partner. I'm the one who, in these current circumstances, isn't happy or isn't well. And you see the subtle difference between outsourcing your problem, so it's not really your problem, versus owning that you are the one struggling with the situation. And it's not about whether or not this is justified. It's just about taking something that's outside your circle of influence, like whatever is happening to others, right? And just bringing it back into your circle of influence. Because you cannot change what your partner and your children and your coworkers are struggling with, but you can change what you are struggling with. So, can we take a moment collectively and drop all of our pride and our ambitions and our expectations and our perfectionism and just allow ourselves to be vulnerable just for this moment? And to say, I am not happy in the situation. I'm hurting. I'm worried. I'm suffering. Whatever resonates. And now let's see what we can do to feel better. So, what we just did is accepting our status quo, right? Taking ownership of our feelings. Like I said in my last episode about mothering yourself, and I really encourage you to go back and listen to it again because it's also very helpful and relevant for our topic today, is it makes a huge difference when we can accept and feel our feelings. Our feelings are always there to show us something. And the sooner we can just pause and listen, pay attention to them, the sooner these feelings can transform into something else, something more pleasant. I've been doing this a lot lately. And two things really inspired me in this process, right? Despite my worries and my concerns. And I hope that they will inspire and uplift you too. First of all, thank God for moments of disappointments, of frustration, of confusion and pain. Well, a certain amount of pain. Because if it weren't for them, we would just continue in situations, in circumstances, in relationships, in dynamics that aren't good for us and that don't serve us. If it weren't for reaching a crossroad or a moment of utter frustration, we would probably be doomed to just live really mediocre lives. And unfortunately, sometimes it needs to get to that point for us to have a wake up call and to say, oh my God, this is not what I want for myself. So I have literally started to treasure these moments because instead of seeing them as a dead end, I now see them as a U turn or like an elevator to some other place, a better place. And I would really invite you to look at your pressing and unsettling issues right now and all of the future ones that you will have as an emergency exit, right? So your house might be burning, all right, but you're not catching fire. You're just getting so damn uncomfortable, finding it hard to breathe and everything that you are forced to make your way out of there. And your feeling lousy is the key that opens that emergency exit door and that gets you the hell out of that burning building, right? We need to start seeing our off times, our down times, our kind of depressing times that way. I really think this will completely change your life. And then a second realization and inspiration I've had, and I know everyone does, is that when we're facing problems and when we're feeling down and weak, hurt, betrayed, lost, we become soft. We start sympathizing with others, we start connecting with others, opening ourselves up to others, right? And we stop, if we ever did, even just a little, feeling like everything's our own merit. We stop criticizing others or being so hard on others and their circumstances that we don't even know, right? In my particular case, I always think, oh, look there. I had to experience this in order to better understand my coaching clients. I need to be able to understand and relate to their problems so that I can then help them, pick them up where they are and help them overcome the situation. So for me, this is sort of a bonus of those low moments. And for you, if you're not a coach, it might be something else. It might be the glimpse of becoming a better and more thoughtful friend, a more compassionate mother and partner, a more relatable person. They say that shared pain is half the pain, and I think that's true. There is so much power in connecting to one another through pain. It might be more powerful than sharing our joys with each other because our joy tends to get to our head and our pain gets to our hearts. And that's a different energy to be in, right? So, what I've done to get out of that funk that I found myself in the recent weeks, and I'm just on my way out of it now. Of course, I do have a bit of an unfair advantage, which are my coaching tools and my coach friends, and but it doesn't matter because that's why I'm here passing all of this on to you now. So first of all, what I did is really accepting and owning my status quo, my feelings, my discontent. Right? We mentioned that it's really important to start there. And this is a time, and I actually encourage you to set a time for yourself where you'll just allow yourself to take it easy, take it slow, not push yourself and pull yourself and force yourself to function again, but to just sit with your feelings, to connect with yourself by thinking about what it is that you could do to nurture and soothe yourself. And I have so many strategies for that I've mentioned in many previous episodes, including my last one. So listen to that and just allow yourself to be. And you know what happens when we do that? It's a bit scary, but actually, we will start feeling safer in our minds, in our bodies, with our circumstances, because we can be who we truly are in this moment. And this fosters self trust, vital. You know me always stressing on that self trust. And it also invites back that inner peace that we feel we have lost. But then, listen up. And that's why I said you should set a time for yourself. And maybe that time is a day or a week, right? So, unless something very, very, very disturbing has happened to you, I would suggest to keep it within a 7-day period, right? And then you need to get out of that funk. Because what happens when we don't set sort of a deadline is that we start dwelling and we create a habit of negative thinking. And yes, negative thinking is a habit. And so we actually create an additional problem for ourselves that definitely doesn't serve us. We start pitying ourselves, we start seeing ourselves as a victim, and therefore believe less and less in our ability to be the heroine of our life story who can overcome this. You see? And you need to overcome this. I know it really sucks when life gives you lemon, to use that famous metaphor, but you need to learn to make lemonade of them. That's just the way it is. You are the writer of your life story. You are the leading lady and the heroine and the main character, and you need to make sure that you get out on the other side of your problems stronger, wiser, better. So After spending some time just indulging in your pain and allowing yourself to dive into it, and yes, right, know that it's temporary and afterwards it's time to rise again. So, how do I do that, you might ask? Well, let me give you a few ideas that are suitable for different personality types so you can pick and choose, right? So, the first strategy is fake it until you make it. So, in this case, you would set another period of time where you'll do your best to limit those negative thoughts about the problem you're facing, where you try to remain in the present moment and not wander off to some scary future scenarios that may or may not happen, right? And just think constructively. So, try and catch yourself every time you don't do that and just remind yourself again because thinking constructively is just as much as a habit as thinking negatively. So give this a try. You will notice a difference after some time, a great difference. Ideally, this should be more than a week, several weeks ideally. And another bonus side effect is that you'll get so much done in this time when you don't come from this place of, oh, but it wouldn't work, and oh, but I already tried this, and oh, this is just too hard. So when you come from the opposite place of, let me see how this could work, let me try this again. And yes, this is hard, but I can do this. Or yes, this is hard, but others have managed this before, I can too. Or yes, this is hard, but it's not as hard as staying stuck in my current situation, right? Uh, Play around with what resonates with you most and do what's in your best interest. You'll be surprised about the results. Another strategy to get out of the funk is just by using baby steps. So ask yourself, what is one little thing I can do today to feel better than yesterday? To do better than yesterday? Everyone can do that, right? It might be reaching out for help, it might be making a phone call, it might be doing some research or blocking a certain time in your calendar for work or for some tasks that will help you overcome the issue you're facing. Then a third strategy, an idea, is to do a research experiment where you look for people who have faced similar challenges as you before, and you learn about how they overcame them and what worked for others, right? So this could mean several things. It could mean going on the internet or reading books about famous personalities who either were, let's say, super happily married or even super happily and amicably divorced, or people who ran successful businesses or had successful careers, or parenting experts, you name it, whatever that problem that's worrying you is. It could also mean reaching out to people you already know and ask for their advice and their help and their experiences. Just make sure that they're qualified and actually helpful to you and not another reason to get pulled down. That sometimes happens. And then also, your research project could be about figuring out what you're missing to solve your problem. And then, for instance, take in a course to acquire a certain skill set that you would need to overcome those difficulties, right? And then number four, and this is probably the all-encompassing solution, is to get support, like a life coach who's trained and experienced in helping people like you navigate hardships and overcome them by growing stronger and more resilient, and by really learning to tap into your incredible inner resources that are there, but that just need to be activated. Um, you know me, I love coaching. That's why I'm doing this. I love how future oriented and practical it is. I love working with my expat clients because there's always this instant understanding and empathy and connection there. And literally, all the women I've worked with were very inspiring ladies that just wanted to further unfold their potential. So, coaching is not for the weak or simple minded. It's best for people who are already on their self development journey, who are looking for more and to further tap into their potential and their resources and to master their particular life circumstances and their personality in a much better way. So, if you are feeling down or stuck or frustrated and in pain about something going on in your life, I encourage you to reach out to me and book a free consultation where we can get to know each other and analyze where you are and where you want to go and then see how I can help you on this journey. You can book a free consultation with me at www.camillaquintana.com/call. And I really look forward to speaking with you. Right, now let's do a little recap, shall we? First of all, we talked about how everyone goes through hardship in life. We all experience setbacks and disappointments, and even though they make us feel so alone, we're actually not alone in this at all, right? It's also really important to take ownership of our feelings and take responsibility for where we are right now. It's okay. It's okay to be going through things. It's okay not to function as a result, and it's okay to allow yourself to fall off track. And it doesn't mean that you won't find your way back. As a matter of fact, it all starts by acknowledging what is really going on without projecting and blaming or distracting yourself from the actual problem at hand, but just facing that. And remember that those times of utter frustration are not a dead end. They are that place where you get to make a U turn. They are your emergency exit out of a burning building, and they are your chance to live and build your life in a better way and not to stay stuck in mediocrity. We also talked about how our hardships often make us soft, more empathic, more relatable, and as a consequence, they help us get close with others, which feels good and is something that we all crave, right? This connection that often happens in moments of pain. And the way out, the way to rise from the ashes, right, is to start by accepting and feeling your feelings and soothing and nurturing yourself and taking some time off functioning. It's okay, and you need this, but only for a limited amount of time, because otherwise you'll actually perpetuate your low state. And negative thinking and worry will become a habit and it will become chronic, and we do not want that. So set a deadline to nurture yourself, and then use one of the different strategies I presented to proactively cope and overcome your problem and become stronger in turn. So, this could be through a period of fake it until you make it, by taking consistent baby steps, by learning from the examples of other people, or growing your skill set. And I also encourage you to get professional support. For instance, for me, Coach Camilla, because coaching is for winners and those who want to win this game of life. And if you resonate with that, please reach out to me and book a free consultation at camillaquintana.com/call. I wish you all the best. I feel with you, but I also believe in you and in your ability to improve your circumstances and your difficulties and to grow stronger in the face of adversity. So I'm sending you much love, and I see you soon. Bye.